In a world where hypnosis podcasts come and go, one man is here to deliver a knockout, no-holds-barred approach and deliver electrifying interviews with the world's top experts so you can discover the secrets to their success. Introducing the Hawaii Hypnosis Podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter and get instant access to 4 free skill-building audios that utilize a revolutionary hypnotic approach to improve your skills from the inside out. It's practically bulletproof.
Aloha, this is Antonio Perez with HawaiiHypnosis.org. Today I've got my guest Richard Nongard on talking about using hypnosis for anger, anxiety, and depression. How are you doing today, Richard?
Well, I am doing fantastic, and one of the reasons why I'm doing fantastic is I have booked my trip for January to Kauai, so we can actually do a podcast live in person together this January.
That'll be pretty good. We're going to have to get into some hypnosis hijinks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do a little street hypnosis, have fun with the tourists.
Yep.
As I call them, terrorists sometimes.
I keep coming back to Hawaii so often that I'm starting no longer to feel like a tourist, though.
Yeah, that's a good thing. As long as you're not wearing Crocs all the time, that's good.
Very good.
And so, Richard, I know a little bit about using hypnosis for anger, anxiety, and depression, and you need to feel way longer. So I figure you can take it away and talk about using hypnosis for these three behaviors.
Sure. You know, one of the things that is interesting about the history of hypnosis is that for a long time, the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and really even the 70s, people actually thought that hypnosis was contraindicated for depression, that we shouldn't use hypnosis with depressed people because it would actually make them more depressed. I really have no idea where that belief came from, other than, I suppose, depressed people are perceived as being, slow and lethargic, and hypnosis is perceived as often being relaxing and maybe even lazy. And so maybe they thought that it reinforced the problems associated with depression. But the reality is depression as a treatment for hypnosis has been a primary and first-line intervention in the psychological community for the past couple of decades. And that's a good thing, because there's probably nothing as effective as good clinical hypnosis for the clients that I see in my office who are depressed. It can help them to find meaning in life. It can help them to learn specific strategies. It can help them to overcome that depression. And unlike medication, where a person often feels like they haven't regained any sense of control and they're dependent on the effectiveness of a pill, it gives them really a sense of self-control, serenity, and peace. And so hypnosis is extremely useful for depression, and a lot of the clients who I see come to see me because they're depressed. And the reason why they come to see me is because I'm a hypnotist. Now, of course, I am licensed as a psychotherapist, but I don't represent myself and advertise myself as a psychotherapist. My clients intentionally come to me because they don't want to see a therapist. They're looking for something that is going to have immediate benefit to them, and hypnosis is really a set of strategies and techniques that can do that for clients.
Oh, yeah. I think on the previous podcast, I think you were talking about getting medical referrals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they go to a hypnotist, hypnotherapist. It's their last line of defense. They've tried everything else, and a lot of them are desperate.
Absolutely. A lot of people are. They've tried medication. They've been in the psych hospital. They, have suffered incredible problems as a result of their depression. And now, they call me as really a last-ditch resort. And what's interesting is that I wish people would call me first, but unfortunately they don't. But it's still okay, because there are a ton of interventions for them. Now, the reason why in the upcoming webinar series that I'm going to be doing at Subliminal Science, I grouped depression, anxiety, and anger together is because it's been my experience as a therapist that even though these are 3 different words, anger, anxiety, and depression, they're really the exact same thing. There is no difference between anger, anxiety, and depression. My clients who've been depressed are often anxious. My anxious clients find themselves dealing with anger. My angry clients get tired and they become depressed. And really, I think that anger, depression, and anxiety are really three different heads or three different sides to the same coin. And so in the upcoming webinar on subliminal science, I'm going to be addressing all three of these together. And this creates a great opportunity for hypnotists in expanding their practice. Obviously, a lot of doctors will refer their depressed clients to a hypnotist. So building medical referrals from the angle of depression is a great idea. But here's perhaps the number one overlooked and undermarketed idea that hypnotists truly are experts in, and that is getting court referrals for anger management treatment. Tons of clients in the court system are mandated to bring back to the court or to the probation department a certificate saying that they completed an anger management course or an anger management program, and there's absolutely no reason why hypnotists cannot provide that service and provide those certificates and really receive an endless stream of referrals from family law and criminal defense attorneys. And they can even build relationships with the probation department and with the court officers themselves to generate some direct referrals as well. And so by expanding the scope of our practice to include anger management training, we can exponentially grow the value of our hypnosis practice and our hypnosis business and our hypnosis referrals.
It also with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like with having somebody in authority, being a judge or whatever, refer people to you, it seems like it's going to give people that expectation of like, wow, even if they're against authority figures, they're probably still going to see it like, wow, this guy's court mandated. So I'm guessing that's going to add another set of expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, over the years, I've worked with a zillion court-mandated clients. As a matter of fact, through the 90s, from about 1994, 1995 to 1999, almost all of my clients came from the court. Almost every single one of them did. I was doing work primarily with the probation departments at the time, doing work within the field of substance abuse counseling, which was, for the most part, mandated by the courts, along with anger management programs. And those clients were great to work with. You know, they hated the system, they hated the judges, they hated the officers, but they did recognize something, and they recognized that I was there to actually help them to alleviate some of their difficulties with the court. They saw me, the clients did, really as the one part of the system that actually worked, that was actually their advocate. They actually perceived me as being on their side. So a lot of people resented being there. They weren't happy about being mandated to take any of my courses or to see me for therapy, but they also recognized that while that may have been the decision of the judge or the probation department, I really held the keys in my hands to their successful resolution of problems. And because they saw me as somebody who could help them, it was easy to establish a therapeutic relationship with them. And I really have enjoyed over the years the work that I've done with those court-mandated referrals. And here's the interesting thing about this. When we create and we structure hypnosis programs in the format of a course rather than a therapy, when we format it as a class rather than a treatment, then licensure as a mental health professional is not necessarily, and in most cases, is not a requirement for those court-mandated referrals. What is a requirement is that we provide quality content and that we actually teach specific strategies to the clients who are referred by the court. And there are a ton of people out there, some hypnotists, some business people, some therapists, some educators, people from a wide variety of backgrounds really offering these services. And in most jurisdictions, I certainly can't speak for every court in every jurisdiction all over the country, but in most jurisdictions, there really are no requirements for the providers of such services. And so when we provide the documentation, usually either 4, 6, 8, 12, or 15 hours of coursework in anger control and anger management, we can build our practice. Those courses could be offered one-on-one to individuals. Those courses could be offered in groups of 5 to 15 to 20. And so it really presents a great opportunity for professional hypnotists who know how to help people reduce impulsivity, to accomplish some of their metaphysical goals related to seeing a connectedness to the world around them, and to use hypnosis as a way of physically, traditional progressive muscle relaxation, calming our physical response to anger. And so in the webinar I'm doing, these are all things that I'm going to be teaching and sharing with you, the techniques and strategies that I've used with my clients.
To getting the court-mandated referrals,
right?
Are you how are people paying? Are they paying via insurance, or are they paying out of pocket?
That's a great question. People who see me pay out of their pocket. This is something people don't know. When you're on probation, you have to pay to be on probation. You have court-mandated probation fees that must be paid, and those are paid in cash. And the court referrals I get are not seeing me for treatment with a psychiatric diagnosis. That's what insurance pays for. These are people who are required to essentially purchase a training program, a course, a class from me, which incorporates the principles of hypnosis to resolve their legal difficulty. And so they pay the fees, and they gladly pay the fees, because the alternative to them is not so pleasant. I've never been a big fan of insurance. Of course, as a licensed mental health professional, I am eligible to collect third-party reimbursement insurance. I could set up my office where the only clients who came to see me were people who paid me with insurance. The problem with that is it sounds great, but clients who have somebody else paying often aren't motivated to make changes. When I am billing an insurance company, I usually have to spend an hour with the client and then another hour trying to do administrative work to collect only half of my fee. And the ever-changing bureaucratic nightmare of insurance makes it something that no hypnotist should ever desire. In fact, most of the therapists who I train in hypnosis are therapists who are learning clinical hypnosis because they want to get out of the third-party payment system. They no longer want to see clients who are paying with insurance, and instead only want cash-paying clients. Since 2006, I have not filled out an insurance form, and I have not seen a client who has paid me with insurance. And I am uninterested in doing that.
Anxiety, as most people realize, or at least I think most people realize, it's a pretty broad emotional state. There's numerous. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Antonio.
It's numerous different causes, etc. How do you market to something that large?
Anxiety is a huge topic, and it presents a lot of opportunity for the hypnotist. Obviously, within the umbrella of anxiety are specific fears and phobias, and those, of course, are easy to target. Fear of flying, overcoming a fear of bridges, or specific phobias. A lot of clients, though, have generalized anxiety. They live in an anxious state, and that anxious state is paralyzing their emotions, it's paralyzing their relationships, and really causing them a lot of distress in a wide variety of settings. And those clients call me all the time and simply say, I need stress management, or I need to learn how to control my anxiety. And then I have clients who, because of specific situations, have unique anxieties. For example, I worked with an attorney a few years ago who was also a geologist for the oil company. And even though he was a geologist and an attorney, he had never been in a court or testified in his entire life. In fact, he spent most of his time doing legal research for the oil companies as both a geologist and an attorney. But now, as a result of his journal publications and his work for the oil company, he was being subpoenaed by Congress and was going to have to testify. And so, public speaking certainly falls into this category as well. Other forms of anxiety, panic attacks. The person in medical hypnotherapy, as we talked about a few weeks ago, who fears medical procedures. I think it's certainly understandable when somebody has a fear of MRI or a fear of outcomes of surgical procedures or fear of a catastrophic diagnosis that they've received. And so I do a lot of pre and post-surgical preparation, and that includes anxiety management. And so I use anger, anxiety, and depression I address anger, anxiety, and depression in hypnosis because, A, it benefits clients, but each of them present unique opportunities for the hypnotist to really grow their practice, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. It seems like with it being such a broad range, it can seem, at least to me, it can be overwhelming at first. Then you realize that hypnosis, there's countless interventions with hypnosis.
Absolutely. Now, I know you have to run here in a little bit because you're out with Kevin Cole doing some training there in Hawaii. I just want to mention that the upcoming webinar is a 4-week webinar on anxiety, anger, and depression, and it begins Sunday, November 25th. Of course, if anybody misses any of the weeks, it's a 4-week course. They can always view the video archive because the whole thing will be recorded, so they won't miss anything. You have a link on your website. You have a link on your website for those who are interested, don't you?
Yeah. For anybody that's interested in what they want to check it out, if you go to hawaiihypnosis.org/anger, that's hawaiihypnosis.org/anger.
And those who participate in the webinar, I'm going to provide them with scripts. I'm going to provide them with specific strategies for not only how to do the hypnosis, but how to structure programs, market those programs, and gain those referrals. So it's going to be a great 4-week series.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to let me interview you for probably the seventh time so far. It's getting close.
I should get a frequent interviewee card.
Exactly. The frequent interview card, it's probably not going to, it might allow you to move forward to the head of class with it. That's probably about it.
All right. Well, take care, Antonio. Always good talking to you.
Yes, definitely. I will see you soon in January.
All right. Bye now.
Hello.
Kevin, hello.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Hawaii Hypnosis Podcast. Connect with us at facebook.com/Hawaii Hypnosis. Twitter.com/Hawaii Hypnosis, and YouTube.com/Hawaii Hypnosis.